this is the first lesson of Deliverability, a beginner's guide that we've devised on inboxplacement.com, and it is the history of email. So me and Florian are going to talk you through it. This is intended for people that perhaps are new to deliverability, are new in email marketing. They want to know more. They've just heard deliverability as a buzzword. What we want to do is take you back a little bit to learn, let's say, the history. There we go. And then we can build up on that. So any notes or comments are always welcome as well.
But before we start with history, what exactly does deliverability means? Can you explain?
Oh, you put me on the spot here. Yeah, of course. So the easy answer is the ability to deliver. For me, deliverability, it means, okay, it means many things. In the past we've sent with many clients, so they have like a huge database of emails, and they use a tool such as with any ESP, and they send emails via the tool to their recipients. So deliverability for me is that bit in the middle, kind of the hocus pocus business of, okay, it's going to be sent from our MTA servers. Will it land in inbox? Will it land in the spam folder? Will it deliver at all? And that's based on many factors. Now, you'd normally think, oh, your email goes to spam, you're a spammer. In fact, there's a lot of reputation based issues, as well as certain relationships you have with ISPs as well. What's your take on it, Florian? Because I think that's a good one. You put me on the spot.
Yeah, I think you already used a lot of buzzwords that we didn't explain. So if we want to start from the beginning, how can we achieve that mails that we send are seen by the recipient, which means are landing into the inbox and not in the spam folder and not in somewhere else in the famous internet or whatever. And yeah, the question is what could be behind? Why could it be the case when I click on send button that the email is not arriving? And that's what deliverability covers. In the past, in the very beginning, and we will start with that in a few minutes, it was just like that. We sent an email and it arrives in the inbox. And because email is quite easy and cheap, it was also seen by some guys doing some dirty business that they could also send email that is not desired by the recipient, and there was founded a word for that, which is spam today, and it became a bigger problem, bigger and bigger, so that at one point ISPs saw the need to fight spam. And first of all, they introduced spam folders and tried to find filters to distinguish between good email and bad email, or desired email and not. And of course, there's a lot of evolution behind, and we will guide through those evolution and also present the different techniques behind and what you can do in order to prove that your mail is good and should be in the inbox and not in the spam folder. But before we do that, we start with the very beginning. Lesson 1 is the history of email, written by this fancy guy, Anthony Mitchell.
Wow, you say
10 years fancy. Ago.
Well, not 10 years ago.
No, I mean, 4 years ago.
Yeah,
right?
It had some cobwebs on it. Yeah, 4 years ago. I mean, the good thing about this lesson, right? So it's kind of static in time. So this one doesn't really evolve, but we'll see about that. I'll kick it off then. So the first lesson itself. So just to go into gist, maybe Florian, at this point we can have some fancy words kind of flashing on the screen. Let's see about that. Anyway, we can edit that. So let's
imagine there's fancy words.
There's not fancy words.
We need some imagination in the beginning, so our watchers need to think about their words.
Yeah, just some buzzwords, because I think that we've said a lot already, and I think we could keep it simple. So electronic mail commonly referred to as email or email since 1993, is the method of exchanging messages from a sender to the receiver on a network, generally the internet. So that's what the first thing.
You're reading
I
the
am
article.
reading. Do you know why? Because it's in the morning and I can't be bothered to think. I'm only joking. So this is the
How's
key
it
part.
called? Audiobook. It's an audiobook.
It's a podcast, yeah.
No.
So let's just say, so the first email was sent in 1971, believe it or not, back in the day, by a guy called Raymond Tomlinson. There's more details on the blog about this, over the ARPANET. So he implemented the first email system, and he was also the first guy who used the @ symbol to separate the username from the sender's domain. So at this point, I'll hand it over to you.
That's
Florian.
brilliant. At science, there's part of the mustache in my mouth at the moment. Exactly. So 1971, 40 years ago, or 50, almost. That's a long time. I mean, what's important to know. The world has not been like today, that everybody has access to email and even not to computers. So at that time, computers were more or less limited to universities, and there's also not just one computer per person at the university.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like one computer or 2 or 3 per university, and users have been using terminals more or less. So that medium email was so of course when the first email was sent, there was not really it was not really popular yet, but still in the very beginning it was not a live medium. When you sent an email and 2 seconds later the email arrives on the mobile of the recipient, that's not the case at all. So you had to go to an university, for instance, to send the email, and then the message was stored on the server, and then you had to wait until the recipient also went to a place where he could access the computer and download the message and then write back. So it took hours or days. So that's a very important difference. And then I think, what do you think? When did email become popular? In the 90s?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, just to go on what you said. I mean, the computers back in the day, they were massive. As you say, it was like writing to a pen pal via the postal, in a sense. So in 1991, a lot of there's some ISPs that came along. So I was 4 then, just to give you some context. Florian, how old was you? It really matters.
That's not a nice question. I'm 34.
34. No, well, how old were you? So if you was 34, let's do the maths. There we go. You'd have been. I've got to think about this now. You'd have been about 6.
How old are you, by the way?
29. So you're 5 years older. So if I was 4, you'd have been 9. Excuse me.
You're still 29.
Yeah, I'm in my 20s, and I'm
for how many times are you 29 now?
And basically 2 more months. But anyway, until then, that's probably
my wife's 29 as well, for the 4th time this year.
For the 4th time this year, I see what you've done there. No, but I'm definitely 29 for the only time.
You're the first time.
In 90, just to take it back in 91, the ISP came along and allowed widespread internet access. So you had, for example, Hotmail, Yahoo at the time, but that will take us nicely into lesson 2. I think for the first lesson, it was important to understand. It really started off quite slowly. It was some kind of basically military servers that actually started the ARPANET, and then, as with most things, a lot of time things develop quicker with the military, and then it starts to become more common with the common man. And when technology advanced as well, and different protocols were defined, such as the internet protocols, the TCP, the IP, MTAs, etc. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, good one. I mean, what should people remember from this episode, I think most important is that email is old, or at least the beginning of email is quite old, and the protocol has not really changed over the years. Of course, there's some RFCs have been added to that, but in the end, it's quite an old technology, and in the beginning that was enough. It was just pure text. Later, of course, there was some additions like HTML and attachments and so on. But the most important change today is security, because of spam and because of much worse things like phishing and whatever, account stealing and sending viruses and so on. Yeah, but it's still based on the same technology.
Yep, sounds good.
That's old history, way before we were born.
And hopefully people will pick this up from where we left off. Cool, so I think that concludes the first lesson. So thank you everyone for listening, and that takes us on to about 30 minutes. Dum, dum, dum. Da, 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 dum, dum.